see him till the end, but when it sounded great.
Shary. And to a few hundred people in Northern California, I'm known as a teacher. However, to several thousands of people worldwide, I'm also a punk rock artist. And the truth is that I'm many other things too. I am a father, I'm a son, I am a good dancer, I'm a skater, I'm a music lover, and we all are. I mean, we're all multifaceted individuals. So why is it that most of us, when we're introduced to people, define ourselves with one word? Moreover, why is that one word typically associated with the career that we do? Well, maybe it's just socially what we do. Maybe it's just easier saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a blank. Well, that might make things really easy, but for me it's kind of difficult because I don't really know how to introduce myself a lot of times. I'll say I'm Chris Shary and I don't really know what to say. A lot of times it depends on the setting that dictates what I say when I introduce myself, but that's probably not unusual for me. I'm sure most of you have felt the same way. As a high school teacher, I get an opportunity to know some of my students for 4 years of their high school career. And in some of them, I get to see them really blossom into very, very talented actors. Oh yeah, I didn't mention, I'm a high school drama teacher, well known for doing punk rock artwork, teach drama. I am a trained art teacher, but I haven't taught art for a number of years. Kind of things change and you kind of get sidetracked a little bit. But getting back to my students, I do get the opportunity to know students really, really well in 4 years, and I see a lot of them really blossom into these wonderful performers, and it's really, really rewarding. And you'd probably think that, because of that, I'd be turning out Nicholsons and De Niros, SpaceX and Bates like nobody's business. But the truth is that a lot of my students graduate, don't go into acting, and never set foot on a stage again. And to me, that's kind of heartbreaking. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, does it? I mean, you spend 4 years of your life working really hard at something you love to do, and then graduation, you walk away from it, completely never coming back to it. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense until I start asking some of my students, well, what are you planning on doing after graduation? And a lot of them will tell me, hey, it's been fun, Mr. Shary, but it's time to get serious. It's time to start thinking about my career. And I get it, I understand you've got to pay your bills, and acting can be a notoriously dicey career path to go into. But if you spent that much time working and devoting yourself to something, leaving it completely, it just kind of hurts. A lot of my kids, when they graduate, they're heartbroken. Their childhood is ended, and it's time to start getting serious. And getting serious for them means walking away from your passions and only going towards your career. It's almost like those two things are mutually exclusive, like you don't have time to do both. And that really, really bothers me. We've all seen the statistics. I mean, we all know that it's the electives that hook kids and get them excited. That's the reason most of my kids show up each day. Coming to my class, coming to an art class, coming to a music class. Those are the things that really bring us joy on our school days. And so, isn't it pretty obvious that if it holds that much value in your formative years in school, that after school it still has some value? Of course it does. And to just close the door on that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it's the electives that get kids excited. I mean, I loved the electives when I was in school. They're the things that I excelled at and I really wanted to do. And that certainly was the case with art. Picture it. 6-year-old little boy, sitting in his underoos, 2 inches from the TV screen on Saturday morning, eating a bowl of plain cereal. And I think to myself, when I grow up, I'm going to be Hong Kong Phooey. I'm going to grow up and be a cartoon character. But kids are stupid sometimes, and I realize, okay, I can't become a cartoon character when I get a little bit older. That's stupid. Maybe, I read a lot of comic books, maybe I could grow up and be a superhero instead. Hey, that seems good. And I thought, I could be Batman, right? But I take off the glasses and I can't see anything. Gotta wear a mask, it's dark at night, and my vision's even worse then. Maybe that won't work. Can't be a cartoon character, can't be a superhero. So I started thinking, if I can't do those two things, why about I draw them? I could draw them instead. And that seemed doable. I loved artwork, so I took as many art classes as I could, and I just dove headfirst into art. Any class my counselors would let me sign up for, I signed up for. And as graduation started getting a little bit closer, I started thinking, okay, the obvious choice for me is to take some art classes in college and maybe try my luck at Marvel Comics or Hanna-Barbera Studios, which were kind of ideal jobs for me at the time. But then something funny happened to me. I started to think, if I love drawing so much, if I did that for my career, if I devoted 8 or more hours each day to doing that, what if when I got home, I didn't feel like drawing anymore? What if my job, my career, killed the thing I loved the most? It freaked me out. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go into something where it could potentially kill the thing I loved the most. So instead, I took a really conscious decision not produce art as a career. And so I returned back to some of my earlier thoughts about what to do when I get older. And I decided I will become a cartoon character. But you can't do that. So I thought about superhero. And I know it sounds really, really corny, but I thought I could probably do some real good in the world by becoming a teacher. And not just any kind of a teacher, but an art teacher. And a lot of the art teachers that I had when I was growing up knew a little bit about a lot of different types of art, but I didn't feel like any of them were real experts at any one type of art. And I wanted to be different. So I decided I was going to devote all my time to learning things that I was passionate about, which was drawing and oil painting. And so I got my bachelor's degree before going on and getting my teaching license. I figured that way I knew more about art and I could pass more on to kids. That's the important thing, right? And that's exactly what I did. Right after graduation, I got a job as a middle school art teacher, and it was great. Seems like the ideal career path, right? Yeah, but what about all those dreams about comic books and cartoons? Did I really just give up on all my creative ambitions just so I could teach other people's children? Not exactly. Because kind of an unexpected avenue opened up for me. And I didn't expect it, and after a while, it actually became something. In high school, and then getting in at college, I dove headfirst into the world of punk rock music. The idea of do-it-yourself, the idea that any of you, without any real formal training, can learn something and just give it a shot, that really appealed to me. And having no musical ability, I figured I could be a singer. So I did. I sang for a few different bands in high school and college, and I wasn't very good. But I didn't mind getting up on a stage and making a fool of myself. Still doing it. So I gave that a shot for a little bit, and I realized that's not really my thing. But I really wanted to be involved in punk. I could draw, and I knew I was good at it. So I figured, all right, why don't I draw for bands instead? I'm not going to play with them, but I'm going to do stuff for them. I'll do t-shirts, I'll do flyers, I'll do record covers. And maybe that wasn't comic books and cartoons, but record covers and t-shirts are kind of cool too. And for me, nothing was more satisfying than seeing somebody wearing a t-shirt I drew. Keith Morris, I drew that shirt. I got a sense of satisfaction that I had never felt before. And I suddenly realized I had a place where I could do all the drawing that I wanted, and it wasn't my career. And at the beginning, it paid nothing, absolutely nothing. My parents, like many other parents, could not understand why I was doing so much for other people and just giving it away. I gave away my artwork. My dad in particular thought it was really, really foolish. And maybe he was right. Maybe it was kind of foolish of me to do so much and just give it away to other people. But actually for me, there was nothing more satisfying than knowing that there were people that really did things I respected that wanted me to do things for them. I loved that. And it didn't matter that I wasn't getting paid, because I'd rather do something for somebody that I liked and respected than to do things that I didn't really care about just for money. Money wasn't a motivating force. It was the fact that I wanted to produce, and I kept producing. And make no mistakes about it, my teaching gig was my career. That's what paid my bills. But it was my day job. After school, I had like 8 extra hours where I could do whatever I wanted before going to sleep. And that was pretty cool. And it dawned on me, you can really do two things with your time. You can waste it, or you can enhance it. We only have so many hours during our day. I can't do anything to change anything about that, but what I can do is change how I go about using that time. And when I decided I can take charge of that, I figured out my career wouldn't kill my passion. I actually had time to do both. Perfect, right? So in doing that, I then started doing artwork for tons and tons of bands, and it didn't feel like any kind of job for me. It just felt like something that was fun for me to do. Eventually, it started paying, and I was a little surprised by that because it didn't really feel like I was doing anything. It felt like I was getting money for nothing. And that was a pretty awesome feeling. You know, the truth is that we've all got a tremendous amount of time each day. And how we use it and how we choose to use it is what dictates what we're going to be getting out of it. And I saw all these littered minutes of all my days just laying there, and I thought if I could pool those things together, I could get some real serious work done. And I did. And I thought, if I can do this, and other people could do this, how much happier would you be? How much more could you get accomplished? For me, that's when everything changed. Everything changed. So I started developing this career as a high school teacher, and things were going great. On the other side, I was doing all this artwork, which actually turned into something I was getting more well known for. It was a good feeling. It was a really good feeling. So why am I saying all this? Am I saying all of this because I think my life is better than yours? No. I'm saying this because I think that so many of you out there have probably done what a lot of people do, like kids that I have who graduate. You look ahead and you go, my career is this, and my passion is this. This has got to pay the bills. This is sacrificed. It doesn't have to be. I feel like I'm a really good example about being able to balance the two things. And the reason that I can balance that, my family. I tell my kids all the time at school, I like them just fine, but I love my family. My family is a very real anchor, and it's the reason that I do all the work that I do in the first place. I get a lot of satisfaction out of my career and out of the artwork that I do, but ultimately, I'm not as concerned with what other people think about what I've done as I am with what my wife and son think about what I've done. As time went on, I got married, got a pretty awesome 14-year-old son, and you'd think that with that, I wouldn't have as much time for my career and for my artwork, but the truth is I've never been busier, and I always drop everything for my family. Anytime they need something, I'm there for them, and that's how I make it work. I'm not so concerned with my career or with my passion that dictates what I do all the time, and I have to get satisfaction and self-worth from that. The self-worth comes from what goes on at home. So if I make sure that I'm never alienating my family, I'm going to be on top of things. I constantly am asking my son, do you feel like I'm spending too much time working? Do you feel like you need more from me? And if he says he does, he needs more attention, I drop whatever I'm doing and I give it to him. We have these dad and lad days. We'll go on out and spend the whole day. I'm not worrying about work. He's not worrying about work. We spend it together. Those are the reasons I'm working in the first place. For my family. If they are proud of me, if they are encouraging to me, that's all I need. The other stuff's just gravy. And the reason I'm telling you this is because that a lot of you, if you have looked at those passions that you've had in your life and they've taken a back seat, it's not too late to come back to them. What's stopping you? If when you were younger in school, singing was your thing, join a choir. You know, record something on your laptop. Go to an open mic night. If drawing was your thing and you haven't drawn in a while, make some homemade presents for people. Take an art class at a community college. Maybe get some small canvases and paint in your kitchen. If acting was your thing, join a community theater. Volunteer to read to kids at a library. Go see a play. Stay creative actively. Give yourself a reason to come home. Be proud of making something that's beautiful, not for any financial gain, but because you needed to create it. It's the creating stuff that gives us heart. It's the creating stuff that makes us human. It's the creative stuff that gives you a reason to do your job. But our goals for why we're doing these things change over time, and that's probably a good thing. Let's face it, you're not going to become a chart-topping band when you start and all members are in their late 40s. That's not going to happen. But what's stopping you from being in a band? Nothing. We can all think of 100 reasons of why we shouldn't take creative risks every day. And those things really get in our way of making that step forward and say, I'm going to try. But really what it comes down to is time. If you've got it and you can use it, maybe you should. I feel like I'm an excellent example of that. I practice what I preach. I have found that I can have a very highly successful career, balanced with a passion that I am very, very excited about, and never sacrificing my family life. And to me, that's the best feeling in the world. I read this as I was working on it to some of my students at school, and they said, gee, Mr. Shary, it sounds like you got an ideal life and family. And I told them, you know what? I do. You're right. And I have that because I knew early on what I wanted to do. I stayed focused on it. I made pure decisions about what I wanted to do with myself. And I never deviated from the things that brought me joy. And if a regular guy like me can do it, what's stopping you? Thanks very much. Thanks, buddy.